Hello, everyone. It is your favorite two bears, of course, here with another Monday release of Bears of a Certain Age. How are you, Scott?
I am fantastic, Johnny. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm currently over here trying to figure out where my glasses won't show the light.
We talked about it last time. I have these new glasses. I haven't figured out how to
Right?
get the non-reflective off, and I have this blue light in my glasses for every interview now. It's driving me
It's
crazy.
so funny. Until this moment I didn't notice. That's okay. We're gonna ignore it. We're gonna
It
ignore it.
makes my
So
blue eyes
how's
look bluer, I think, when I play it back, but it's really annoying to watch myself tape it. So
I mean, you have to take the little things. So are you fully back to health?
I am back to health now. I had that week off that threw me a monkey wrench behind. I'm staying in the house though because it's become that time of year in Northeast Ohio where it was 29 degrees when I woke up Sunday. It's going to be 76 the next 3 days. And if I go out in that, my body, if it gets extreme weather, I just get sick.
Yeah,
My
it's
body
like
just says, fuck this. I'm not playing with this weather extreme.
exactly.
So
We're
it's
like, I
like
don't
I'm
even know
staying
what to do.
indoors because the
Yeah.
weather just wacky. It was 29 degrees for a low on Sunday, got up to 56. And then, like I said, it's up in 70s all this week. Then Friday
Wow.
high is 50 and back down to 29 again. So
See, we're there, but we're not back. We're not to the 70s anymore. We were doing that for a while. Now we're a little lower, so maybe low 60s, but it's too much. I can't. When I get up to take, plus, I realized the other day on the weekends, I take my dog for or longer walks than usual. And
right.
because he's earned it, he's been, had to be in the house longer. So typically, this is within 7 days, within 1 week. I get up, we hit the trail about 6:15. 6:30. And that way we get a long walk without a lot of other dogs distracting him, right?
Bears got the best of me. Said bears on my fantasy. Said bears ain't what I like. We do it all night, alright. Bears that don't discriminate. I take a cover chop to circumnavigate. Steal my heart and let it percolate all night, alright. Bears got the best of me. Said bears on my fantasy. Said bears ain't what I like. We do it all night, alright. Bears.
And then 7 days later, we get up at the same exact time, but we don't get sunrise until 7:15, a whole hour. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going on the trail in the middle of the dark. I've done that as a mistake before. It's not great. It's not safe. But I was like, in 1 week,
Isn't
it
it crazy
changed a
how
whole
fast it's going? The
hour.
same thing here too. It's like
Yeah,
I don't like I sleep in the dark. So dark makes it really I get
right,
groggy. It's hard for me to wake up.
right,
Normally, like we've talked about it before, summertime I'm up by 6 o'clock every day, 5:30, 6 o'clock because it's sunny by then. And when
right.
it's dark like this, I just want to sleep. And the same thing for
Yep,
the last week here. And with this cold snap here, the leaves, you know how much I love my leaves changing. They
right.
lasted 3 whole days. They
Exactly.
were like a yellow one day, they turned orange the next day, and they're off the trees the third day. It's just so
It's
fast.
crazy.
It's
I mean, I get that we are now almost, into the season that I
yes.
don't talk about. Um, but I don't want it. I really don't. So I try to appreciate it. Like Reggie and I have adjusted the schedule so he goes on his walks later and we still get the walk. But yeah, this dark and Wednesdays at my day job are the long days for me. So
Right,
it's a
right.
spread of about 14 or 15 hours. So when you get up in the morning, pitch black. When I leave work, pitch black. And I
Yes.
hate that.
I
Yeah.
don't blame you. So the
Yeah.
dog
But
doesn't wake you up thinking it's time to go out at the time?
he
Is it
is
an internal
good.
clock or does it go by the alarm clock?
Sometimes he'll do that, but very rarely. He's pretty
That's
good
good.
about, making sure that Papa gets his rest. But there are times where he's just staring at me. Like, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
I love that.
Because he knows exactly the day it is. So he knows we're going to go on a long walk. We're going to go on a car ride. He's going to get a treat at the coffee shop. He has it all down. He knows
Right.
exactly what's going on. But the other thing I don't like about this time of year, now that I work so closely to people's faces, because of course, being an orthodontist,
Oh,
and I work with them, like I don't get sick often, typically, um, and yet everybody's getting sick, and so I get paranoid, and I already wear a mask most of the time because of being in
Right.
medical. But oh my God, it's almost like if I was a parent and my children were in preschool. That's what it feels like, that whole
Right.
thing. Yeah, people are getting sick. And because it's time of year, I haven't gotten my flu shot yet. I'm just like, maybe I need to pay more attention. This industry is different than real estate.
Yes,
So,
exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, very crazy. And I'm the same way. I mean, I don't even know what I had. I took a COVID test and it wasn't COVID. It just, whatever it was, just decided to knock me on my ass for a week.
See?
But yeah, I don't, and I'm, I'm pretty good. I try not to get sick too often. I don't get that sick, but when the seasons change, that's when's a danger time for me.
It's the quick temperature difference
Yeah,
that does me in, or some people say it's the barometric pressure.
right.
Some scientist knows better than I, but yeah, it is that where it changes so fast and your body's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. So when I know what to do, I just make you sick. So yeah, it's
I was,
fascinating. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, how excited are you that we're out of spooky season now? I mean, these other two holidays aren't much popular either. But did you end up
No,
doing anything for Halloween?
I
I'm
prefer
working. I
spooky
work.
season. I prefer spooky season a lot. I will say I get into the like at work we did this whole pumpkin like we decorated pumpkins and what was so fun is I am not like I am creative in all sorts of ways. None of them are where I tangibly have to do anything.
Right, exactly.
And we did one of my coworkers. We were doing an under the sea theme at one of my offices, and so one of my coworkers is so creative, and we created an aquarium. And inside the aquarium is a 3D. I made a beautiful little squid named Norbert, and he was accidentally made because I don't know how I did it, but. And so it was a lot of fun, and I'm like, we had disco fish, and it was so I love being creative like that. And so, and it brings me together with my team. So I did that. I hung out with friends. That's okay. I
Can
like
I
that.
tell you how
That'll work.
evil I am? I'll admit it. I'll admit it on here. We do a pumpkin carving contest at my work, but we're all remote, so we do it virtually, right? I was this far away from doing a little cut and paste kind of thing and kind of doing a virtual reality one just to see
Oh,
if I could get away with
nice.
it. I ended up not doing it, but I was so close to cheating. Oh my, I
That's
found the
so
right
funny.
picture I wanted. I made it transparent. I put it to transparent. I took a picture of my kitchen table with
Yeah.
me at it. I was close to cheating, but I didn't. I
I
didn't.
think it's brilliant. I will say one time in my life I won a pumpkin carving contest, and it's because me and my partner at the time printed out the stencil and just, and I'll tell you, that changes everything.
That's the way to do it. If you want to be good at it, I mean, like I said, I can't draw a stick
Yes.
figure to save my life, but
Thank you.
if I have a cutout or if I have something to follow, I can get it 80% close.
Exactly. Exactly. I also have to say my the doctor I work for wanted to do a team building exercise. There's 5 of us on my very small ortho team, and he wanted to do an escape room. Now I've done plenty of escape rooms. I'm like, that'll be fun. I have never done one like this that was so involved. They
Really?
sent this small orthodontics team to space, and you are in an actual shuttle and it moves and you see things from the window and I'm like, what? And you have to figure out how to get out of that. Then you're at the space station where you're trying to save the world and it's a whole room. You have to go into this chamber where you hit a button and the door like Star Trek opens up and you can only go in there with one person and it fills with smoke that smells a certain way.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
and then you get into the freezer. I'm like, it was the most elaborate. And we did beat it with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to spare. It's but my coworker is so true. We were so shocked. One of our coworkers, her name is Kinsey, smartest person I've ever met. Ever. She's just solving puzzles, and we're just like, what? And Lauren and I, my other coworker, she looks at me and she goes, it's at this moment I realized that we were personality hires. Definitely not for our brains. And I'm
I
like, but I have to say, there are some, like, I like escape rooms, but that was insane. It's called Think Tank. I'll tell you guys, but it's called Think Tank. It's downtown Spokane. So much fun.
Oh, you got to
Glad
tag
we
that.
did it.
I made the mistake my very first year of going to Palm Springs and doing my shows from Palm Springs. I wanted
Yeah,
to have an experience for all of us to do together for all my shows.
right.
So there's an escape room set in Palm Springs with 8 different rooms. So
No.
I thought, I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. Let's bring 6 gays together in a room and try to escape and see what. There won't be any drama at all.
None.
And just the experience with 6 to 8 gay guys was funnier and frustrating as hell. And then, of
Yeah.
course, they all talked to each other, and there was like 8 different escape rooms. So, well, I heard such and such went to this escape room last week. Why aren't we doing that one? It's like, you know what? We
Oh,
are never doing an escape room
yeah,
again.
right.
That's all there is to it. But
Also,
they
if
are
you
fun.
lock 6 to 7 gay men in a room, only 2 things can happen. You have reality show drama or it's an orgy. Those are the 2
Exactly.
options. You gay
Exactly.
men cannot change to. But I encourage people. There are some really fun ones out there. So, because I did an escape room before with the last company I worked for,
Mhm.
and we almost killed each other. So I'm proud to say our little team, we still liked each other on the way out the door. And we did save the earth. Bring it to your orthodontist.
There you
They have
go.
the right team. They have the right team. But
As well, you should.
exactly.
Well, what do we want to talk about this week, my friend?
So I've been having conversations because it's me and my brain overthinks everything. So, and I was having a conversation with a friend. It's twofold. It started, so unfortunately, I've been having some pain in my spine and blah, blah, blah. And
You were telling
I
me
put
about
up
that.
with it for a
Yeah.
little while. And finally, I don't know why I wasn't doing it. Finally went and got the x-ray I was told to do in August. And I was like, for some reason, the pain was getting pretty bad. Like it was affecting my day job. And I thought, I better just go get this done. And I'm just like, we think we know it's a bulging disc at the top of my neck. So we know what it is. You're just doing things for insurance, right? Go in, they take 3 very odd x-rays with a very, very, very sexy tech who I was like,
Mhm.
hey, and he looks at me, he's like, so were you in a car accident or what happened? I said, I just had too many birthdays. It was just one year added to the other. But so I think they're going to say bulging disc, or they're going to say we don't see anything because you can't really see that on an x-ray. And then we could get an MRI. Then insurance will be like, okay, I'll pay for an MRI. Instead, I got a diagnosis that was not thrilling to me. And it's not horrible by any means, but it's a chronic pain issue. It's called spondylosis. And it's whatever you call it, deterioration of your spine, basically.
I
And
don't like
mine is
osises.
early.
Osises are never good.
No, never good. And so it's early because I'm not 80, but so this is going on. But it is so now I've got to figure out, oh, what are the steps I need to take? Because with chronic conditions, they can't fix them. So you have to find a way. So I was talking to a friend, and they were talking about the shame they feel like first of all, chronic anything has this weird people don't believe you half the time and
Right.
all of that. And then as you get older, there's a shame we assign to not being 100% healthy. But as we get older, we will never be 100%. Our bodies are designed to slowly break down until it's over, right? So
Exactly.
I mean, you hope it's not over quick, but our bodies, that's what it's doing. It's slowly dying from the time you're like 23.
Right.
Certain things are breaking down. So we were talking about this interesting aspect of shame, and part of it is culturally, we can't see that you are going through something because it
Mhm.
means I have to look at me. And I don't want to do that. And so it was an interesting conversation. I thought about gay men of a certain age. A lot of as much of as we've partnered up and all this stuff, there's a huge percentage, as we've talked about before, where it's just them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you take on the extra shame, the shame that you have, the shame that people outside of you, out in the community have for you. It's an interesting, and listen, I don't want to experience it I don't need to empathize with anybody. So I would much rather skip this part. But it is fascinating. And you don't think about it. My job doesn't want to hear that I have this issue because they don't want to deal with what it can mean. I also am not good at balance. That's the other thing I've learned. I have 80,000 things I want to do, and I don't want to be stopped. So, like the other day, because I'm panicking, I want to deep clean my house because, that's logical. So, and my friend says you might want to, at least balance. Don't deep clean everything today. But I'm like, fuck that. And so I go all in. By the time I'm not done yet, but there's a moment that I hurt so bad that I can barely move. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's so new and I'm still learning on what does it mean. And I look at, have you seen anything? So I love the comedian Miranda Hart. She's from Britain.
Right.
Miranda was her big sitcom. And she has a chronic pain syndrome that she finally wrote a book about. She has been doing the tour of what it's like to live with this and and so that's the other thing. I'm like, wait, it was the universe trying to say, hey, pay attention to this lady. And then I'm like, I'm going to hide from all media then, because if it's teaching me lessons, I'm going to need to know. I'm only watching Happy. That's it. Yeah. So it's a fascinating subject, when I would much rather see everybody just rally. We all have different shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And we all deal with it differently. Some people, like you said, will learn about it and try to kind of deal with it and try to find ways to cope or try to find exercise something to make it better. And some people it'll just cause them to recede more and more to themselves. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
that gives me an excuse not to have to go do anything.
Yeah.
And we've talked about loneliness and in our bear community and getting a little older as
Right.
well. So yeah, you got to really find ways because that balance is so hard to find. So yeah, good
It's
point.
awful. And to be open and vulnerable and all those good things. It's kind of weird, to be honest with you. I've always lived my life out loud because I've been, out in entertainment since I was like 9 years old. But it is weird. You kind of don't want to. You kind of want to just, whisper. And because my biggest thing is don't underestimate me. That's been that way since I was a kid. Like, don't. But it's very weird. I'm bad at asking for help. I'm bad at, being underestimated. So it's just fascinating to see. And I told you something before we went on that I think is perfect. Speaking of media that is trying to teach us something, I love the cartoon. I think we mentioned it on the live. I love the cartoon, The Great North. It's so fun. Nick Offerman's so much fun. Megan Mullally, all of them, Will Forte, they're all so fun. And I can watch that cartoon and I just love it. Like I can watch it 80 times.
Right.
And just before I got here tonight, I was watching an episode where it was all about Nick Offerman's character, the dad, who refuses to go to the doctor. He will go to great lengths not to go. He is hurting. It's showing signs of a heart attack, but he doesn't want to go. And it's this whole episode about how by avoiding knowing, you actually do yourself more harm. And I'm like, what the fuck? Nothing told me we were in the Matrix more than that happened to me.
Right?
And I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's scary when you see yourself on TV like that, right? Thinking about
Right?
it. Well, and it's
Yeah.
also, I think, our community, and when you're maybe in the chubby community or the bear community or even gay community, you tend not to overshare in a lot of things to begin with.
Yeah.
And so you kind of hide things already to begin with. And so it's very hard
Yeah.
to ask or tell, more than even ask, hard to tell and share your stories with anybody. So that's very interesting.
And we're all trying to put on whatever our best
Right.
version of ourself is. Can I tell you, because I'm dramatic, I've said it a million times, I am drama enough, so don't give me anything real. That's just rude. I'm already drama. But the first thoughts that came into my head is, hey, I've just started exploring dating again. This cannot be. And then I was told by doctor, I'm like, I'm not giving up sex. So if this has anything to do with my sex life, you just tell whoever needs to know I'm not interested.
There you go. If any diagnosis includes that, just shush,
Yeah.
shush. I don't want to hear about it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's the other fascinating thing is we worry about how the world around us views us, and then we worry about how we view us, And then in the end, I think anything that doesn't kill you, there's a way to find a way to live with,
Right.
but it does help if the community around you is more supportive and not, you know what I mean. So
Right. And it might
yeah,
even be harder for those that have been active and fit all their time and everything, that not want to be seen as anything less than, right?
right,
So it's
yeah,
really kind of, those are the people that are really kind of keep it buttoned up. Or if someone's been always active
yeah,
and gets his pain, it's like, oh, I can't be less than, I'm in this certain level of my
yeah.
peers, and I don't want to show weakness at all, right?
Right. It's fascinating. Ben, oh goodness, what has been the recording artist? He was on our show. Um,
Oh, Benjamin
Ben,
Cole?
yeah, Benjamin Cole.
Right.
He has been so open with his cancer
Yes.
journey recent. It hasn't even been a year yet, I don't think.
Right.
And he has allowed his fans and everybody to kind of go on the road, and he's go on the journey with him, and he's talked about the days where he can't go to the studio. And that's his favorite place to be.
Right.
And yet kept that devilish grin that he always has, and it's fascinating to see someone who is going to live, just going to show you what it is, and here,
Right.
and he'll share pictures of them waiting in the chemotherapy room, and
Sure.
so it's fascinating to watch people. This is life, but it's always supposed to be someone else's life, not
Right.
not mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he's always been so good about sharing his life in general anyway. He's always been an open book on everything.
Right.
And it turns him to such a powerful educator for other people.
Yeah.
So I think people that can do that and keep that openness, because like we talked about, you're either going to go one way, you're going to hide in it, or you're going to
Right.
kind of express this and just dive through it. And
Yeah.
he's one of those ones that drive through it. So, and
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
amazed. And I mean, for for everybody who maybe isn't as kind
right,
or supportive, I have to say, you know what? It comes for everyone. For me, it just is named this weird name. Uh, it comes for all of us. So wouldn't it be easier if we were just compassionate? You know what I mean? Just be like,
sure,
you don't have to sit here and let me and listen to me give you all the details, unless you want to. But what you can do is understand we're all of our mortality, which is what sucks in this part two of life,
right,
is that you just see it more often. Um, but it's fascinating, and because we don't talk about that, it's reality. It just is reality. That some of us go through different things.
right,
I am lucky that it's not what Benjamin's going through. That
right.
it's something different. But everybody going through their own shit.
Well, that's why health screenings is so important, and we've talked about it over the couple of years we've been doing this now. That I think it's nothing to be embarrassed about. You need to have the health screenings. You need to have your STD testings and everything.
Oh
But
yeah.
there should be no shame in going to the doctors for regular checkup. I mean, God bless my mother, 85 years old. She's 3 months religiously. She gets all her blood checked and everything,
See.
and you need to do something like that. I think it's very important that we be
Yeah.
as a regimen as we start to get older. Maybe
Yeah.
not that often, but just kind of, I think it eases some of the stigma and some of the fear about going there, right? Because you're just
Yeah.
going there, and if it's that clean bill of health, you go, whew,
Yeah.
until the one
Exactly.
time we have to.
I tell my brother all the time. So when we all probably did this as younger, like teens and 20s, we made fun of the older people. Remember the days when we were like, why do they always talk about what's wrong with them? Like they can have a whole hour-long conversation about how they hurt that day or what's going on. And so we would laugh about it, make fun of it. And I'm like, and this is what happens is I told him if I ever get to that point where in a conversation, I talk more about how much I hurt that day than actual stuff, that you need to call me on it. Because as much as it does hurt, I also want to have a life. So,
Well, and it's just, I mean, you think about these things. I go through these rabbit holes on occasion where it's like, okay, these kids are talking about how the 90s are so old and everything. And when I think about it, in the 90s, that was the 60s back then. It was 60s and 50s that I was talking about. It's like,
right?
oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's
It's a
like, it does seem
cycle.
like a forever ago. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
It's
strange.
so weird. So I think as long as there are some, I'll watch, I was talking with a friend about Catherine O'Hara and how absolutely defiantly, she just embraces her age. She
Yes.
doesn't let it, doesn't bother her. This is where it is. She's enjoyed every moment.
Right.
And so she has fun, where some of us will be like, or I've been watching Only Murders in the Building. I'm on last season. So,
Hmm.
you know, um, Meryl Streep is on there.
Right.
And she's one of those too that's like, this is it. This is who I am. And I find those people so cool. You know what I mean? That they just are. This is me. I got older. Oh, which brings me to another. So I haven't seen it. So because I don't have the Peacock, whatever. But
Hmm.
Reba's new show started.
What is it?
And Reba's new show, Happy Place.
Oh, yes. I love
Yeah.
Melissa Peterman. Yes.
Yes, and I want to see them because I watched Reba the first series just religiously
Right.
between us two, and I was talking to a friend, and they're like, "Oh, well, you should make time. Me and my husband watched the pilot, and it's really good." And then she goes, "But you can tell Reba's getting old," and I was like. Well, you can't. First of all, I'm not going to tell Reba you said that. Second of all, don't we all wish we could pause at our best time? You know what I mean? Like, we all get old. And so there
Exactly.
was an almost erasure part of that sentence by just saying she only sort of counts now because she's old.
That's
I'm
bad. I
like,
don't like that at all. Yeah. I'm
yeah.
glad you
And
said,
that's what
glad you said
Hollywood has
something.
done to us, to be
Right.
honest. Because there's a moment in time you can watch the same movie and that person is forever that. You know what I mean? And then we get mad at them when they show their aging. And I
Right.
think that's fascinating. You know what I mean? Because I'm sorry, I've seen a lot of the youth lately and they're not impressive. So,
And unfortunately, it's mostly for the ladies too. The guys tend to kind of mature into their older age too.
yeah,
I mean, health wise is a whole different thing, but looks and wise
right.
and everything, no one can really tell as much. So
Well, and look at Zac Efron, who I have always adored and loved. Even he falls under the pressure of how do I stay? And then,
right,
it goes maybe a little to the side. He still looks great, but it's just he'll look different because he chose a certain path. It's
right,
fascinating. But that's just part of so when I think about getting like maybe getting sick as we get older or having something new to deal with as we get older, I'm fascinated by the choices we make and how to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, because for me, I need to learn that I can do everything I want to do. And it's just week one, but I'm still going to live by that. I can do everything I want to do, but maybe it'll just change in how I balance the chunks of things that I do. You know what
right.
I mean? I can still do it all, but maybe it's not all on Monday. So maybe
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
it.
as we get more into the show, I mean, I'm so sick of the dang Medicare commercials, everything, but it's stuff to talk about. We need to talk about the
Yeah.
insurance side of it and everything, and all the non-fun stuff to talk about. Not let healthcare is
Right?
fun, but it's
Yeah.
like it's time to think of that. This time of year is everything is open enrollment, a lot of plans, and how do you cover
Yes.
yourself to make sure that when things like this happen, that you're not expecting, so you're not paying bills for the rest of your lives. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
can be
I'm like,
scary
I
after
gotta
afterwards.
quickly, nail down a husband because
There you
Because
go. I
listen,
like it.
I'm not getting younger. But yeah, you were mentioning, I didn't realize for a lot of insurance, November 1st is when they
Yes.
restart. I'm
Hmm.
like, wow. Yeah. So, and listen, none of us think this isn't the most fun topic, but it is an important topic. And so I would challenge all of you to go get your checkup, go to the doctor, do what you need to do. And if you know anything about the spondylosis thing, I will take advice. I will take it. But I would much rather see a community of people kind of, even if you don't know anything about it and you're lucky enough to not have anything, then hallelujah. You know what I mean? I would just rather see a community like help each other out than the
And
other,
go
the
get checked
judging.
out. Don't sit on it for a couple of weeks and think, oh, it's just a bulged disc. You
Right.
need
Yeah,
to go check
exactly.
those out, right?
Don't do it because it's what's so funny is so mine for years I'm telling you, if I took something off of a shelf above my head, so the weight of it, there would be this stinging pain in my neck. But that's all it ever was. So I just stopped getting things above my head and I let that go for years. And then this year I started waking up, can't feel my fingers. I'm like, huh, that's fascinating. So it progresses fast. And then out of nowhere, it turns to this daily pain. I'm like, no, the minute you notice anything, just go to your doctor.
There you go.
And then maybe they'll figure something out. But we're gonna see. Who knows? I learned this thing from my doctor today that I still don't quite know. I feel like it's like I'm gonna meet Q from James Bond because she's like, "Oh, we have a special pharmacist that I'm going to have reach out to you and you guys can talk about." And I'm like, special pharmacist? So different than my Walgreens guy. This is someone. So I'm hoping that it'll be like Q and he'll have lots of gadgets and
There you
we get to pick
go.
find some cool ones. But yeah, I had no idea. Apparently that's a thing. So, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're getting it checked out. I mean, it's something that we want to talk about. We don't like to do these subjects all the time, but let's talk about health or let's talk about something really depressing like elections. And we have no idea what has happened last week. We are filming this the week before. So we could be,
there could be a
as
pain
this
in my arm,
airs,
I don't know.
you may be finding Jonny and I on the floor already. So who knows what's going on. So
Right?
let's talk about something happy like healthcare.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's sad. Listen, we're choosing hope until we have to choose reality. And hopefully reality will include hope. That's what we're going to do.
8 days away. This will air in 16 days. So we'll know by then our next live next week. Tune in live. It's going to be the day before Election Day. So we're going to go live. We might have some special guests tune in to kind of talk you through the vote. Can't believe anyone's still undecided, but supposedly there's a sliver out there right now. So, so this will have aired last week, our live. So I hope we got some insight for you there.
Don't make us jump in a time machine and go back in time. If you haven't voted, go vote. That's important.
Well, Jonny, I'm glad you figured it out at least to know how to get a course of treatment at least now. And it's just kind of, you got to do what you got to do, my friend.
Yeah, but take it from Nick Offerman, who plays Beef Tobin on The Great North. Go get checked. That's directly from his mouth. Go get checked.
All right, we'll see you next week live right here on Bears of a Certain Age. Check us out on Instagram. We will see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Best of me, said bears on my fantasy, said bears into what I like. We do it all night, alright. Bears that don't discriminate. I take a carbon chop to circumnavigate. Steal my heart and let it percolate all night.